Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. In a new article that has been released today, it is clearly indicated that Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has stated, "Oh, hell no," in response to something that the Department of Justice within the good old United States has put out. Oh man, I tell you what, there's been I don't know that I've ever seen such a concentration of top brass at Ripple, really making it quite clear that they're not too fond with the role that the United States is playing, like on a federal level, as it pertains to a regulatory clarity around the cryptocurrency asset class. So I'll explain what Garlinghouse had to say. Full context. Be sharing with you some thoughts and opinions from the XRP community here, and some of my own thoughts as well. But before we go any further, if you would please ever so delicately tap the like button, I would definitely appreciate the support. Because if you do, it will simply let the YouTube algorithm know that you don't completely hate this particular Moon Lambeau content. Maybe you hate it a little bit, but not completely. And so the YouTube algorithm will then push it out onto other individuals. And so I'd certainly appreciate it. Also, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambeau channel, because if you do, we could be friends. Maybe even best friends. We'll see where this takes us. Guys, remember this? I put a video out on this just the other day from Fortune.com. I just want to touch on it to make sure that we all know essentially where this is stemming from. There's a clear mindset at Ripple. And my gosh, maybe they've thought it for some time. It's not like I haven't seen comments along these lines over the last couple of years, but it's been very concentrated. And now they're making actual threats about like completely relocating Ripple, the company, outside the United States as a result of all this. So here's the piece from Fortune titled, "Ripple Threatens to Leave United States Over Crypto Regulation." And this had to do with some comments from Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen. And you can see right here, Executive Chairman Chris Larsen said San Francisco-based Ripple has grown increasingly frustrated over what it perceives as a hostile attitude to the cryptocurrency industry by the federal government, and in particular, the Securities and Exchange Commission. And that's going to be a key part for Ripple in particular, right? Because look, to me, it could not be more obvious that XRP is not a security of Ripple. And you know, when it comes to whether or not something is decentralized, I remember Brad Garlinghouse even stating, like, here's a hard line for me, and I'm paraphrasing, but I believe he actually used the term hard line. It's, you know, if Ripple the company goes away, does XRP go away? Well, no, obviously it keeps chugging along, and so anytime there's a situation like that, it's a pretty freaking hard line. And if that is indeed the case, how could it possibly be a security of Ripple? And I understand there's all sorts of considerations taken into account when determining whether or not something is a security. Fine. But that's a pretty hard one to get past. Because even if you want to make the case that XRP used to be a security when Ripple arguably had more controls over the ledger when there were less participants in the space, fine, that'd be reasonable. Same would be true of Ethereum, for example. But today, it's not really debatable in any sort of logical sense, because Ripple today only has, runs about 16% of validator nodes on the network. It doesn't make any damn sense here. And so that's where this all stemmed from, essentially. And shout out to XRP Crypto Wolf for sending this piece my way, which comes from you today. Thank you very much, XRP Crypto Wolf. I do appreciate it. You are always on it. And they titled this one, "Ripple CEO says companies will move overseas if there's no regulatory clarity." So I'm going to hop back to the article, but I do want to just pull up the actual Twitter thread. This is what Brad Garlinghouse tweeted out. And it was a retweet of Nathaniel Popper, who, by the way, is quite a critic of Ripple and XRP. He's a technology reporter for the New York Times. This is his official account, 40,900 followers. He's always very critical of Ripple and XRP. And so there have been actual back and forth between Nathaniel and Brad Garlinghouse, which I've highlighted on the channel. They're always, to me, it's just like, get the popcorn ready, son. It's just fun to watch the back and forth here, because Nathaniel, maybe he's operating in good faith. I certainly hope so. But I just keep wondering, like, why has he not learned by now that these stances that he holds are not going to stand up against analytical ideas, opposing analytical ideas? I just feel like the positions he holds, they don't seem to me to be particularly well tested. That's what I'm saying. Nonetheless, he retweeted this from the Department of Justice and wrote, The DOJ just put out a 71-page report with its take on cryptocurrencies. And here's a quote. This technology already plays a role in many of the most significant criminal and national security threats our nation faces. And upon reading that, you know what? You know the direction it got me thinking. It's like, well, the internet does too, so if this is an argument for getting rid of crypto or maybe even blockchain, which would be even more ridiculous, but specifically crypto, if that's an argument for that, and if to you that's perfectly reasonable, well, we better think about everything else that's taken place in this. Like, for instance, the internet's making this possible. We should probably just outright ban the internet. What about the way in which, heists are conducted? Should we ban automobiles because they play a part in this? It's completely nonsensical. It's a bogus statement, and you see this time and again from some certain portions of the federal government, and there are some, and that's why I have been speaking highly of some members of the federal government that have acknowledged that crypto's here to stay, my friends. It's clearly not going away. They just want to regulate it in a responsible fashion. I've heard that as well, but then you get crap like this, which is it's such an unsophisticated way of looking at this that anytime I see somebody even bring up this point, I think, wow, you are perhaps at the very beginning throes of researching the world of crypto. That's how it always strikes me. And it is either that, or I start to think, what is your actual motive? Because if you're spouting that crap, either you don't know what you're talking about, or you must certainly have some sort of motive that is counter what the rest of the public at large wants, because we're wanting to engage with this crypto asset class, this burgeoning asset class. It shouldn't just go away. Imagine if at the advent of the internet, you guys were so hard on just the proliferation of any company that really helped build out this space. It's just completely ridiculous from my perspective here. And so then you had this tweet from Brad Garlinghouse retweeting what Nathaniel Popper wrote, and he said, a 70-plus page contradictory report is not regulatory clarity. Many responsible private players are trying to follow the rules, but that becomes increasingly hard when there's no single arbiter of the law. And then in parentheses he writes, 5+ government agencies with different points of view on crypto. We need a framework like DCEA that provides clarity, protects consumers, and fosters innovation in the United States, or companies will move their investment or whole company overseas. And again, that comes on the heels of what co-founder of Ripple, Chris Larson, has stated about, we're actually thinking about moving Ripple, the company, the HQ at least. Which really, if it's ultimately the path of least resistance and that's going to be better for the company and hopefully XRP as a result, then hey, whatever, just go for it. And mind you, I live in the United States and I'm still saying that. I'm just like, why should Ripple have to be beholden to a federal government for an indefinite period of time when clearly they're not doing what they need to do to be friendly to such a business? No, I just say if you believe it's in your best interest, Ripple, get the hell out of this country. Seriously, I feel fairly strongly about that. And then in this piece from you today, though, they have this little subheading titled "The DOJ Calls for Cooperation." And this one they wrote that's 83 pages. So anyway, the 83-page report published by the DOJ starts off with explaining basic cryptocurrency terms such as Bitcoin address, wallet, and miners. It then delves into numerous illicit use cases of crypto, money laundering, financing, terrorism, tax evasion, avoiding sanctions, etc. Now, hopefully they didn't, but I was going to say, it would have been nice if they had a little section about the horrors that can occur thanks to the United States dollar being used specifically for nefarious intent here. There's nothing fundamentally wrong in that sense with the United States dollar or with any cryptocurrency. It's more what the developers or users choose to do. Like, you can choose to do bad things with just about anything. Like, you can stab somebody in the throat with a fork or a spork even. That'd be somewhat comical, at least. Like you know what a spork is. It's like part spoon, part fork. Like, it's got this real serious identity crisis. But you could choose to use a plastic spork and just right in the neck, right? You could do that. It doesn't mean that there's something inherently wrong with the spork. You know, I shouldn't use the spork. There's something inherently wrong with the spork because it's a freaking useless utensil. Okay, fine. Not the best comparison. You get the cut of my jib, though. Let's just use an actual metal fork. So you can stab somebody in the throat with an actual metal fork. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with the actual metal fork. Okay, it's actually fundamentally useful. It's more about what people are doing with it, and if you're not focusing on that, you're just being completely disingenuous. So the piece continues. The agency seems to be particularly concerned by anonymity-enhancing coin mixers and privacy coins. In its summary of enforcement actions against the crypto industry taken by the United States government, the report mentions the $700,000 fine handed to Ripple by FinCEN back in 2015 for violating the requirements of the Bank Secrecy Act. While recognizing the disruptive potential of crypto, the DOJ also underscores the importance of close cooperation between private cryptocurrency companies and regulators for rooting out crime. Now, as far as that, I don't really want to get into in this video. I've talked about this a bazillion times on this channel. That's a rough estimate. As far as what happened in the fine with Ripple, yeah, there was certainly a misstep. Ripple acknowledged it, and nobody's perfect. Okay? Pay the fine, move on. There was no reason to believe, from my perspective, that there was some sort of ill intent from Ripple Labs. That would be ridiculous. Because there's no, I mean, if there were evidence, it wouldn't be ridiculous, but there's not evidence, is what I'm saying here. But here's one final quote from the DOJ before wrapping this up. In conducting such outreach, the department and its partners will continue their efforts to advance mutual goals such as safeguarding the virtual asset marketplace from theft, fraud, and hacking. And fair enough, Nathaniel Popper even pointed this out in a subsequent tweet in his thread. On the other hand, the report also includes, quote, distributed ledger technology upon which all cryptocurrencies build raises. I read that weird for some reason. Let me retry that. Here's the quote. Distributed ledger technology upon which all cryptocurrencies build raises breathtaking possibilities for human flourishing. There you go. And so imagine this. Because that was something positive. Okay, let's acknowledge that. Let's say that we're hanging out in person and I say that you are very unattractive, you're very stupid, you have the beginnings of a unibrow, I don't like your haircut, you smell bad, but this afternoon I had a good time with you. It was good hanging out. So if I said that, what would you think? Because that's the way I'm taking this here. It's like all this horrendous stuff about cryptocurrencies, yeah, but it could be good for human flourishing. Oh, okay, thanks, guys. What the ever-loving hell? It's completely absurd. So a little bit of talking about both sides in your mouth, and they could genuinely mean that, but why are you so heavy on the rest of the crap? There's real utility. Come down hard on the people that are abusing the technology, because it's not the technology that's the problem, it's the people, you idiot sticks. All right, that's it. This is starting to grind my gears. I better just wind up here. I need to simmer down now. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.